There is a gentleman in the United Kingdom, very wealthy man, famous person. His name is Duncan Bannatyne. And in one of his books, Duncan Bannatyne writes a story. He does lots of charity work. And one of the things he does is he supports different orphanages in Romania to help children who have no parents, who live in orphanages, have a shot at a better life. He says one time he went to Romania to one of the orphanages where he used to give charity to, and he brought along for all the orphans presents. So for the boys he got toy trucks, for the girls he probably got dolls, and he brought these presents to the orphanage, and they made like this little mama, this little event, and the head of the orphanage thanked Duncan for his support. And then every child essentially passed through it like in a long line, and each child was given a present by Duncan Bannatyne himself. And Duncan Bannatyne was shocked to see something that made no sense. Each kid took the toy and walked away from him and hurled it against the wall, threw it against the wall, and then picked it up again and threw it against the wall again. It wasn't just one kid who was doing it, who was having a temper tantrum. Every single child, after they got their gift, was throwing it against the wall and throwing it on the floor as hard as they can, trying to break their toys. And Duncan's like, this doesn't make any sense to me. They're kids, they're in an orphanage, they know what toys are. They have some toys. I'm giving them here gifts. I brought them from England, a whole bunch of toys, and they're breaking them? And Duncan is obviously absolutely right. Except for one thing. Duncan Bannatyne found out afterwards that the woman who was running that orphanage liked to make some money on the side, and she had found a very nice way to make a couple of dollars on the side. Whenever somebody brought toys for the orphans in the orphanage, she would take them from the children after they were given to the children, after the donor had left, and sell them and keep the money, pocket the money herself. So the children had a perspective which Duncan Bannatyne did not. They knew that in about 20 minutes time, when Duncan leaves the orphanage and gets his nice goodbyes and thank yous, these toys are going to be confiscated from them and sold. They're never going to see them again. They also knew that a broken toy couldn't be sold. So they knew that if they were able to get their little toy fire truck broken, if the ladder fell off and a wheel was off and the doll was missing a foot, this doll or this truck couldn't be sold, and therefore they would get to keep it, and therefore they would have a toy. And they'd rather have a toy, even if it's somewhat broken, than not have a toy, even if it was in 100% ship-shape condition. And therefore also, talking about perspective, from the perspective of Duncan Bannatyne, what the kids were doing made no sense. From his perspective, with the limited knowledge he had, it made no sense for him to break the toys. But for the children, it made perfect sense to break the toys, because that way they got a toy they can have, instead of having a good toy for a couple of minutes, but then having to give it up. So again, we see the idea that it's about perspective, and it's about seeing the big picture, and it's kol man uvid rachmun letav uvid, that sometimes a broken toy means the toy is here to stay. Masha'ain kind of toy that's not broken may look better, but when you know the full story, you see it's not such a great idea after all.